Ron G Morning Show, Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on WSAN Radio.
You know, God, God must have known that I needed a break too. So he scheduled, the time it's right on the show. So hey, we had the holiday, and I'm glad to see that you take care of yourself. And you know what? It's funny that you said that before we started the show, because that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, man. Is
Wow.
that listening to your body, and it really is a skill. One of the things as a therapist that we teach folks in terms of getting grounded is to be in the moment, to think about what you're feeling right now. That's part of relaxation techniques. A lot of times is getting grounded. And, a lot of people, and especially a lot of teens, they can't sit still. Some people, if you tell them literally to sit in a quiet room for about 5 or 10 minutes, they can't do it. It's torture. That's because their mind is racing so fast that they can't relax. And that's a dangerous thing to be in, because at night probably have a hard time going to sleep, right? Your
Yeah.
heart rate, is racing probably much more than it needs to be. And it's just amazing. And I was listening to something, and I got to put this out here because the body and mind connection and mental health has been something that practitioners, psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists like myself have been, pushing for a long time. And there's something that the U.S. Surgeon General put out, I think it was just last week, that I think that everybody within the sound of my voice, the sound of this show, and needs to pay attention to. They just linked alcohol with about 7 types of cancers.
I know.
Okay, alcohol, drinking. All right. And even they even and I'm so glad they asked that question. They said even the um what was considered the normal or reasonable drinking, which is, I think it was one drink an evening for women and two for males. Even that could significantly increase the risk for cancers. So and they're trying to get a push for putting that on alcohol, just like they did on cigarettes. They're trying to push for that now because they've done the studies, and they're saying that alcohol now is linked to about 7 cancers. So those of us, African American males in particular, that have a higher propensity to colon cancers. Then there's, breast cancer. I know that has hit my family hard, with my mother passing from it, my grandmother, my wife having 2 bouts with it. You just have to really take a look. And I've known people, close friends, that had aggressive cancers,
Yeah.
and just wondering, like, where did this come from? Well, if you've, drank any type of alcohol, now we can see that that's possibly a factor that maybe a lot of people didn't know. And the studies are pretty conclusive that that is, something we got to take a look at. So, not just mental health is something we got to be aware of. Now, also, you got to think about, what is alcohol, right? With the holidays, just going around, people usually drink sometimes, with the holidays,
Yeah.
and alcohol is a depressant. So from a psychological standpoint, it's not necessarily the best thing to do either. So just trying to encourage people to find some healthier alternatives to celebrating the holidays, time with family, all of that. And just kind of make people aware and get that out, because we got to try to protect the community, and that's my plug for protecting the village. So, and just for my folks in Grand Rapids and Tennessee, I lost one of my mentors. I've been dealing with that. Mr. Clyde Pogue, who was a mentor of mine, passed away here, last week, and just wanted to, let his family know that they're in my thoughts and prayers. And, I'm going to do a little tribute for him, on my Facebook page, and sending it to one of his other mentors that he could put on his page as well. So And just stay tuned for that. But it's taken me a minute to get my bearing because I just spoke with
Yeah.
him a few weeks ago and didn't even know they had went to hospice and then that's where he expired. Um, but he hasn't really expired. That's the technical term for saying when
Yeah.
somebody passed, right? But it's really interesting because somebody like that never expires. He's touched thousands of people, and I just happen to be blessed to be one of those that will keep his memory going to my practice and working with mental health. So rest in power, Clyde Pope.
Yes, yes. Um, you brought up about, well, I brought it up first about your health and all that stuff. What is the problem with Black people that they don't want to go see the doctor? They don't want to go see maybe somebody can help them mentally. And
Mhm.
I think it's embedded in us that we could do it ourselves because we have been doing a lot of things for ourselves that we fail. We'll do something for somebody else, we forget to do something for ourselves. And when that happens, 9 times out of 10, when you finally go to the doctor because you complain about something, it's like it's too late. It had already progressed to the point that there's no fixing it. So that mindset that we have, how can we break that mindset?
What we're doing right now, awareness, is a key part of it, and breaking, stereotypes and generational practices and mindsets. I know that a lot of the folks that I have grown up with or been around, and a lot of men that I've noticed, we have this, yeah, unfortunately, this mindset of, I'm all right, even when I'm not all right.
Right.
And that's been taught because you got to think about it. Back my generation, your generation, I think you're a couple of days older than me, but your parents probably had this. And comedians talked about it. Remember the people saying, just take some tussin, you'll be all right. Tussin was not the fix all for everything, but a lot of us, that's all we had. We didn't have access to, or we thought we didn't have, and some of us didn't have access to quality healthcare in communities. Those of us that are impoverished and didn't have, things like the Affordable Health Care Act and other quality health services. So, it was too expensive. I remember people knowing they should have went to the hospital, declining hospital rides because it would be too expensive. And I know that more than ever over here in Japan, where I had an MRI and CAT scan and ultrasound and all in one day, and walked out and paid $60. $60.
Yeah.
And talked to a specialty doctor all in the same day, and that was what I had to pay. And that's because, in the United States, it's expensive for healthcare. We got some of the best medical technology in the world if you can afford it. If you can get in there, So I think that plays into it. The socioeconomic piece is a very important piece when it comes to us and economics, and also the mindset. I think it's some of it is, and we just could be real. Some of it is fear. I know people think that sometimes you go to the hospital, they're going to find something.
Hmm.
Well, they might find something because something is there. But, if you find it early enough, the prognosis is better, and, of you surviving it or healing from it, or, at least being aware of what's going on with you, right?
Yeah.
So, we've got a lot of things working against us, but what we can do is be aware of what's out there, try to be proactive as much as possible. And if get our colonoscopies, and there's the Cologuards and all that stuff that can help detect some things, but you still getting a colonoscopy is ideal after you get to that certain age. I think it's like what, 50 or so.
Yeah.
That's when you get your colonoscopy, and just having access. It's about that time for me as well. I've had the Cologuard, but I gotta go ahead and get the colonoscopy, and I'm not doing it here in Japan. I gotta get back. I gotta go. I've had enough surgery in Japan, not the slight Japan. They
I
are
hear you.
phenomenal in some things, but I already told you about my surgery experience, and it was something to behold when you have to walk
Yeah.
into your own surgical room. That was some straight up military Joe type, Guy Joe type stuff I had to do. But hey, I'm here. They are phenomenal. Shout out to Makaminato Hospital. They are amazing here in Okinawa, Japan, and just their service is amazing. But there are differences in
Yeah.
countries. I'm not going to get into my stuff, but I'm just saying that to answer your question, I think socioeconomically, I think um, how we've been raised, our mindset towards healthcare, it determines when we'll seek it out, and just our and gotta say it, our education level. If you if
Yeah.
you if you know about what you need to do, then you're more likely to do the right thing. So you got to put that awareness out there. In education, we need to instill in our kids how important it is to do your regular checkups, to go to the hospital, get checked out. If something ain't right, don't feel right, find out, know your family history, know what you have a propensity. Somebody in your family's got this or got that. Hey, I think it's not a stretch to understand you might have a connection with that. And I know that's we do that with even psychology and do an assessment. If your family had your mom or dad or grandparents had some type of psychological illness or has some type of trait for anxiety or whatever,
Yeah.
it's a, that you might have that trait. So just knowing your family history too is very important.
Yeah. When you brought up something about going to the hospital and all that stuff, I was reading an article, I think it was last week, where the doctor told this young lady that went to do a biopsy to find out if it's cancerous and stuff. And she stunned the doctor with her next question. And I'm not going to forget how she put that question because
Mm.
it was in her brain. And she asked the doctor, she said, so if you're going and doing the biopsy, why don't you remove it while you're there? And it left the doctor stunned. And so they did remove it. She healthy, everything's okay. She didn't say if it was cancerous or not, but just the idea of us being a patient, we need to ask those questions. Why go in two or three times? Just remove the first time around. And that's what she
Wow.
wanted. So we have to educate ourselves too when we go to the doctor. We have to get those second and third opinions. Don't rely on the first one. And costly, yes, because let's face it, the United States is built on pushing medication, not really finding the cure. Take this pill, take this pill, take the shot, do all that. But we need to push on fixing the problem. And
Well, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm just saying if you do that, then that's going to run the pharmaceutical people out of business because they rely on just pushing pills.
Well, let me tell you something. We got a long way to go before you run them pharmaceutical folks out of business.
Yeah.
Uh, they got deep pockets, brother, but I think maybe their pockets are a little too deep, in terms of how they got their money. But you got to understand something about medicine. I'm not trying to beat medicine up at all, but I think you just have to understand something. It's called the practice of medicine. Practice, right? So there's a scientific approach, but they're practicing, which means that you need to understand kind of what's going on to make sure that they are practicing correctly on you or your loved one. You can ask Tiff when she was going through her cancer battle. I was right up there with the oncologists, researching medications and researching techniques and latest techniques and latest medication and debating which one was going to be best for my wife with her, biological setup. And we were look. He considered me a colleague, and I was that's my wife. So I was right
Yeah.
there with the nurse, and Tiff was, we had to know that. And Tiff right now with what things going on with me, she's a kidney dialysis nurse, so she's talking to my folks and asking questions I have no idea about. I got to catch up with what she's talking about, so I know. But it's really, you do have to educate yourself so that you know that you're receiving the best quality care with whatever practice of medicine that you happen to be, going to. But this is an advanced class, man. We just trying to get some folks to the doctor,
Yeah.
get seen, to get, to stop trying to Robitussin it or, whatever they're doing, to just get
Castor
some,
oil.
yeah, whatever. Yeah, what's it? Fish
Ca-
oil and all that.
Yeah, castor oil. They take some castor. Oh, that was the nastiest thing in the world. Castor oil fixed everything from headaches to a cut. Take some castor oil.
Castor oil and tussin got us through childhood, and
Yep.
mentholatum. People don't know about this stuff. Mentholatum and Vicks,
Mm,
all that stuff, and that was solution. You had to be almost, passed out before you got to go to the hospital and to get the antibiotic, because you didn't cough almost your whole lung up before you got before you went to the hospital. And just go in there and lay down and get that vaporizer. Boy, I'd have had so many steam anyway. So
yeah.
it's we hey, that's what we had when we were younger. Now I will say, I did have grandparents that did get me regularly checked out, got me my practice, my mindset to, take care of myself. But, there's a lot of folks, when I was with my mom, we got there when we could,
Yeah.
when I was bad enough. I was a pretty accident prone kid, always, typical jumping off roofs, jumping off stuff, doing stuff I shouldn't have
Yeah.
been doing. So when you break something or you cut something open or whatever, you got to go and get those stitches or whatever, and you can't, you know, you have to go then, but you can't move your arm all the way. Then you got to go and get an X-ray and all that type of stuff,
That's
right?
right. That's
But um, we need to get better at that, and that's just statistically, it's just there. We just need to get better at taking care of ourselves and being proactive, not reactive. That's the
yeah.
word for it. Proactive versus reactive.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. Some people will give somebody a soft answer to a problem they have because they don't want to hurt their feelings.
Mhm.
Uh, I want to hear it. I don't want you to beat around the bush. Let me know exactly what's going on because I want to know.
Right.
Now, does that affect the person' mental state if they come across soft or hard?
Uh, well, I mean, there's best practice if you're a practitioner, but if you're somebody's friend, and it depends on the person. Some people are more sensitive than others. You know, um, I'm from the school of thought is, the truth is the truth no matter how it's delivered, and you can take it how you want. I can't, my grandfather was old school, so so you go get the truth and it hit you how it hit you, but I understand that there's some people, it depends on the audience, that you might want to, kind of taper what you tell them a little differently because you might trigger them. But yeah, I mean, as a practitioner, we're supposed to, say things a certain way, but I believe in more of a direct approach. So I'm a little more direct than a lot of other therapists because, in the demographics that I've worked with in the past, we haven't had a lot of time for them. So how does that make you feel? Type deal. We had to
Yeah.
get onto it. We had people needed answers. I need to help to, if I saw what was going on, at least guide them a little more directly so they could see it, and then
Yeah.
help them pick the best choices for them to help elevate their life and make an impact. See the slogan? I see what I did there.
Yeah, you
It-
just
uh,
put that right together, didn't you?
right. Yeah. So, so that's always been like my approach, and the team that I have. We're more direct than most. So a little bit more of the Gestalt or like the Iana Vincent approach to a certain extent. We don't get in your face like that, but we will let you know if you're tripping, you're tripping. Like if you aren't doing what you need to do, and you're asking me to help you find another solution. No, sometimes it's good to ask you a person, so you didn't like when you drank and drive and got that DUI, right?
Yeah.
No, but then don't do it again, right? That's that's point blank. Now we got to talk about the addiction, and if you're an alcoholic, and we got to deal with the triggers of addiction and the other physical uh, pieces to that. of addiction and psychological pieces of that. But the first thing is, hey, don't do it again. And then how not to do it again. How to put yourself in a position where you're not going to be tempted to do it again. And we just started, we're educating you on why you should be drinking in the first place, because you now have more of a propensity for cancers. So
Yeah.
that's a motive, right? So took that full circle, right?
Mhm.
So you know, sometimes you have to be careful how you tell somebody something. And learning how to talk to people, it's a skill, right? But it don't really matter to some people how you say something. You're going to offend them because they're offended because you're telling them something they don't want to hear. But from what I was taught, that's called a true friend. You tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to
Right.
hear.
Yeah, and what the old saying back on the truth hurts.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes the truth does hurt. But I always get this example. Let me give it right now about therapy, right? So some therapists believe, you want to make the person feel good, and they should always feel better. And I say, that's good when that happens. But if you go to a physical therapist, does it always feel good?
No, that's why you're going.
That's why you're going. If you sometimes if you're trying to set the behavior or with physical therapy, you try to set the physical element correctly, or the muscle or the bone or whatever, you're trying to get that corrected, it's going to hurt. It's because it's out of place. It's not right. So if you're doing something that's not right, and you've been, you've been challenged, or you get some cognitive dissonance, we call it, where you realize you're out of whack and you got to change something, it's going to be painful. Imagine realizing that you've been wrong to your kids your whole life, and they're grown, and you're seeing things in their marriage as a result of how you raised them and what you didn't know because of what happened to you. That's a painful thing. It takes a strong person to go, you know what? I'm wrong. I have to help try to change this so that it doesn't get passed down to my grandkids,
Yeah.
right? You got to break the cycle. That's the other part of impact, breaking generational curses, changing the paradigm. And that's a painful thing to realize. What some of the stuff, there's a lot of things that our parents and grandparents did right. Well, if we're going to be honest, there's some things that they could have done differently, and that's any parent, right?
Right.
But you've got to be real with people and tell them the truth, because the truth will set you.
Free. Exactly. So, um, on the mental health side, well, no, let me go back up a little bit. It's going to affect mental health. We have a new virus out there now.
Mm,
They just put it out there.
mm,
Our church talked about it yesterday at Bible study, and the symptoms is just like the flu. And so it's a new one out. And what people don't realize, the COVID has not stopped. A matter of fact, it's saying there's a reinsurgent of it, because
mm,
people are not getting their shots, and what they need to do, people still say the shot is fake and this is that. And now
mm,
we got something new coming out, and the epidemic is still there from the first one, COVID. And now we got something
mm,
new into there, and they're telling you, doctors saying the best bet, make sure you get your flu shot and your COVID booster shot. And they got this new one out for people over 70, which I'll be in a few days. The RSV or something like that is out. All these shots out there for you, and it doesn't keep it away, but you won't have the symptoms as bad. Does that make any sense? The
yeah.
symptoms won't be as bad. So my question is, people still got that mindset and that thought saying, well, I don't believe in it, so I'm not taking it. And then when they get sick, the first thing they said, man, I should have went on and got that shot. So what's that old saying, shoulda, coulda, woulda? And
And
it's just the idea of something news out there, but we're still going back on the same mindset saying, I'm not taking it, it's fake. Why should I do it? That's another cycle we need to break. I guess it's education. We need to educate the people.
it's still it's 100% in the camp of education and miseducation, right? How many of us lost people because people said they just weren't going to take the COVID vaccination, or they weren't going to take this or take that? Um, it's unfortunate. I happen to be married to a nurse, so I saw that one coming.
Yeah.
I just saw it. I said, hey, we were, and I was working with the military there in the San Antonio, and I was blessed to at that time and still to be essential in terms of working with the military. So they made sure that we had ours, and I was one of the first one. Me and the senior citizens are right there in line.
Go. There you go.
They were looking at me like, "What are you doing in line?" I said, "Don't worry about it. Just keep moving on, man." So I get my shot. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. No disrespect to the seniors. That was a joke. That was a joke. I have much respect, but to my seniors. But yeah, they was looking at me like, "Why this young whippersnapper in here with in his line?" I said, "Because I know what y'all doing. They are trying to stay alive, and I'm trying to stay alive too."
Yeah.
So it's education, man. And we had so many people talking about it's a conspiracy. The government is doing this, and I said, "Look, it's never too late to start using common sense." And when you saw everybody and their mama, that from all different socioeconomic backgrounds trying to get their kids getting everybody trying to get that vaccine, listen, when you saw COVID taking out celebrities and it was an equal opportunity killer. It didn't care how much money you had. It didn't care, what political affiliation you were. If you mess around and caught COVID, you might be on that respirator and out. So you have to respect these diseases, man, and viruses, and do what you need to do to protect yourself. Uh, that's just a reality. I know a lot of people think, well, oh man, you don't know. I do know. I know I got my shot, and I'm over here in Japan. I was like, yo, let me get mine.
Yeah.
And I got real creative. Also, I got the flu shot from Japan because I'm in Japan, right? So I was like, let me go ahead and inoculate myself from whatever's over here. So I'm trying to do everything I can to stay as healthy as I can. And one of them is doing your research. You have to. And over here in Japan, they have a different approach to medicine. They actually try to heal the person completely. They don't just try to treat you. So that's a little bit different. I
Yeah.
know they're thinking I'm beating up the American healthcare system. I'm not, because again, we have some of the best facilities, but I would suggest that maybe our approach isn't the best though at times. You know,
Bedside. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. So mentally, I want to talk about here mentally about the state of the United States. Um,
how
I
much time we got?
I know that's not a loaded question, but it's pretty loaded. So I'm telling people right now, personally, I'm telling them, don't but don't worry about what's going on in DC. You need to worry about what's going on in your own backyard. You need to worry about the appraisal district, the commissioner court, and all that here, who dictates where that money is going to. We need to worry about locally here and start that village over again. Because if we worry about them fat cats over in DC, we'll never get anything done here locally. So mentally, these people are, but they're drained. They don't know what to say or do. You know, for one, I'm just letting this flow. It just I can't fix anything. I can't. What's those saying? Control the controllables. So if you control what's going on in your local neighborhood, you're good. You cannot control what's going on in DC. That's a whole new different ball game. Worry about your kids and your family here in your local community and let the community get involved in doing things like we used to back in the days. So mentally, Some of the people just plain drained, they don't know what to do.
Well, it's understandable for a lot of people. Things didn't go the way they wanted it to go in terms of election wise, and it's easy to kind of withdraw, and say, you know what, hey, I didn't get things didn't go the way I wanted it to, or the ship isn't headed direction nationally, possibly, that some people felt that it should go. But what I'll say is, you can only control what you can control. And if you voted, we have another president that is coming, that's been sworn, going to be sworn in. And, you know, that reality is nothing that we can do anything about right now. But your day-to-day activities, your day-to-day village, they need you, and if you don't have a village, you need to find one, because it looks like we're gonna need each other.
Yeah.
uh, and we might need to find out who we are again as a people and return back to that. One of the things that my mentor that passed used to tell me is that one of the biggest mistakes that we have made as a people of color is we forgot how we got over and got to where we were. When you say got over, got out of the extreme situations of segregation and overt oppression. And unfortunately, I think because we forgot some of those lessons, we allowed some of those demons to become more powerful. We've got to remember how to support each other. We got to remember how to depend on each other again. And it looks like we're going to have to learn those things, because a lot of the institutions that were put in place by my grandparents and our forefathers, they're being challenged. They're being struck down. Affirmative action is being struck down. The equitable, efforts of equality and things of those natures, they're pulling the plug on a lot of that stuff, right? So those of us that are in a position and have platforms, we're going to have to step up and, provide opportunities for the younger generation to understand what community means and show others what community represents. So what I mean by that is helping each other to make it, leaning on each other, sometimes financially, sometimes for support psychologically, sometimes just to check in on each other. Hey, how you doing? This is something I can help you with. What's that song? Lean on me. Listen to it. Yeah, that's what it's about, man. You might want to play that, here soon on the radio station, because that's really what we need to be doing, leaning on each other, psychologically. In Auburn Hills, I always go back to that because that's where I saw that. In my neighborhood in Michigan, we
Yeah.
had access to a dentist, we had educators, we had blue collar workers. It was somebody that we could talk to that knew something about something, and we could find our way and help if we needed it. So, and also lost one of our members in the neighborhood, Miss Barbara Todd. Wanted to shout out to the Todd family, and they know they're in my prayers, my family's prayers as well. And the neighborhood definitely is missing one of the pillars of our community. So
I'm looking for that song when she just said it. I'm gonna find it and play it after the show, because you had another song for me one time to play. Oh, Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's the way of the world.
yeah, man. Hey, music is a very therapeutic tool in helping us make it. But we gotta reignite the village, man, and pull it back together. So those of us have had a village, we need to call our people, check in, joke and use humor. Go back, do the things that we used to do, block parties. We might have to do that a little bit differently now. I don't really think that we should be out there outside in large gatherings, but we could definitely figure out some ways, some little house parties and get-togethers and things of that nature.
Right.
and tighten up, tighten up that sense of community and that bond and that connectiveness. It's not keeping up with the Joneses anymore. It's trying to connect with the Joneses and help all of us because everybody's going to need everybody. I believe over the next 4 years,
Oh, yeah.
uh, I think we're gonna need to lean on each other sometimes, and
You
that's
talk,
okay.
yeah, you talking about song Lean on Me. I got into the writing game of a song and I wrote one called Shades of Love. And
Yeah, man. Yeah.
and that came to me because in our own culture, in our own community, sometimes we can be our own worst enemy because the color of our skin, we come in different shades. I remember growing up, I was beat up because I was light skinned. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm still black, but we have that problem here, and it's still a problem to this day. And
Mhm.
what can we do about it? Educate and let them know we're all one. No matter what color our shade is, no matter what the shade is, we're all one.
Okay,
And
now you got to put that Frankie Beverly on now.
which one?
We all won.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you didn't already called it out. Go ahead and put that one on there. We got a whole soundtrack we putting together. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you're a kid, but it's just we're so busy worried about the outside messing with us. We forget we're messing with each other. When it comes down to business, when it comes down to friendship, when it comes down whatever it is, we will stab our own people in the back and won't think twice about it. And so that needs to stop right there by itself because how are we going to move forward if we can't move forward within our race?
We're not. That's the reality. If we don't get that together, we will be stuck, and that's why we stall in a lot of different areas, and that's just the reality. So the first thing is to unlearn the letters of Willie Lynch. So those that don't know who Willie Lynch is, you need to look it up and look at some of those lessons are still being perpetuated. And that's exactly what you talked about. Why dark skinned black folk are fighting against light skinned black folk and finding anything, how I talk, how you talk, how someone else talks, to find a way to not deal with, to support each other. One thing that I could say that we need to learn and look at is that we are so quick to be dismissive of our leaders. But you saw what the Republican Party did for Donald Trump. Now, whether they agreed with him or not, they supported him
They unite together. Yes.
because they understand the nature of power. And we have to figure that out. But if you're jealous and not wanting to see somebody succeed or excel or whatever, because maybe if somebody's getting more attention or maybe making more money or whatever the case may be, we have to figure that out, that you achieve more together and you got to figure out how to work it out. And I've had to, it's in different organizations, remind people that, look, you may not like what this person did, but if they have a position, you need to support them and then give them an opportunity to change, because you can achieve more together.
Yeah.
Now, if they just are not going to change and they're stuck on doing the wrong thing, then yeah, then you have to pull your support. But I think we need to take a look at how power has been demonstrated to us and learn something from it, and stop fighting against each other so much. Now, that's a mouthful. How do we make that happen? Well, again, the villages have to start connecting. Now, when the villages start connecting, that's a powerful thing because then we start recognizing the commonalities of each other's village. And, we all have a code. I mean, we know what it is. We know the one thing about oppression is that people know how to respond to it.
Yeah.
If I was in a meeting over here and I stopped the whole conversation, and I didn't even realize how powerful what I said was. It was just an observation. I've been over here now for about a year and a half, and every time I get in the car, I'm noticing something different. And most people, they get in the car every day and they don't notice it because they haven't experienced what I've experienced. But if you are black and you drive a nice car, you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Because when I get in my car here in Japan, I haven't had for over a year and a half that fear of driving while black. And I can't tell you the level of stress that's been off me, but anybody in the sound of my voice that has had a nice car, or not even a nice car, when them red and blues get behind you, you've had possibly that feeling of anxiety. Like, oh, where's my, I got my drive. Okay, I got it. Okay, all right, I'm good. Let me act like me, I'm driving the right speed. Okay, we're good. You've done that. You've had that conversation in the car. Don't turn around. Just yeah, we driving. Don't panic. The police are behind us. You know. I never had to have that conversation one time
Mm.
for in a year and a half. So we know what it's like to have oppression. And we know what it's like to be under that type of pressure. So why is it so difficult for us to understand what we need to do to strengthen our community? Well, we kind of get lost in that Willie Lynch mindset then. You know, the differences. Well, why does he have to have that title? Why does he, you know,
Yeah.
did he go to school for it? Does he have a license in it? Does he is he an expert in it? Does he, you know, does he have a track record? You know, that's why, you know. Is he naturally talented in it? I got a guys like my uncle. He can build a house from scratch. Never went to school for it.
Hmm.
Built a gym in his house. Now, yeah, I'll let him do some work on my house. I've seen I've seen him build a house. He
Yep.
when I came down to Texas, he showed me a lot and said, Joe, I'm gonna put a house here. I just talked to him yesterday and the house looks beautiful.
See?
Multi. So yeah, if he comes to me talking about, hey, you know, I got some ideas on a house I'd like to build, or you know, whatever, he's demonstrated his expertise in that. We need to start going to folks that have demonstrated expertise and the moral character that they need, that they need to have, and supporting them. And then those folks need to continue to support the community in which they live and where people that look like them come from. It's a real simple recipe, and everybody seems to have it, but us,
That's right. And why? You know,
because because of the Willie Lynch mindset. I'm gonna keep saying it until somebody pick it up and read it, because it is, man. There's so many books out there, man. There's one called The Color Complex. People can read that one called by Frantz Fanon, who was a phenomenal psychologist who did a study on his own mental illness of because of racial oppression. You know, so you got to look at it, man. It's some serious stuff that has been done to us. You can't think that after hundreds of years of racism that it wouldn't have an effect on us psychologically. You would be kind of remiss to think that. The question is, are you willing to do the work to find out how you've been affected?
there you go.
And once you realize that, then what are you going to do about it to achieve outside of the parameter set for you, you know? And that's where it is.
And you're talking about change, and some people set in their own ways. They refuse to change, even if it's for the better. They still got that. I'm gonna say it again. That mindset has been working in my family for 4 or 5 generations, and it's broke. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it's broke. You got to change
Has
something in your mind.
has it been working for 4 or 5 generations?
They
I mean,
said,
if your family is still in the same predicaments for 4 or 5 generations, is it working or is it what you're used to?
that word right there. Use
Yeah, what Yeah, what you used to. And when, this isn't really a definition of insanity, but I like it. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome, that doesn't really happen. You got to change and make an impact in your situation if you're going to change the trajectory. I mean, you got to look at let's move everything about psychology away. If you've got something going a certain trajectory, and if you want to change the direction, you've got to impact it. If you want to elevate it, you've got to impact it. Look at how a plane takes off. When those rudders go down, that plane goes up. Why? Because those rudders are impacting the wind and lifting that plane up. Some of us want to go up, but they don't want to change the rudder. They don't want to change the direction. So you are unfortunately going to keep going and eventually going. I don't want to say it because we just had a bad accident over in Korea, but you
Yeah.
know, if you don't change your trajectory, then you stay in the same position. And guess who you have to blame for that? Yourself. Now you can blame everybody else. You can blame the person, the gatekeepers, there's roadblocks, but look at all the roadblocks that our folks have gone through. It's just not a pull at your bootstraps up. It's just change your thought process and find ways to change your trajectory, if not just for you, then for your kids.
Yeah.
You know, that's very important. And wanting to see, it used to be a time when we wanted to see kids do better than us. Now, a lot of our kids are wondering if they're going to do as good as we did, which is kind of interesting because they've got more access to information than they ever had.
They
You know,
do. They,
but now let me say this: they may have more access to information, but they don't have access to wisdom.
mm, that right.
And wisdom is that's what makes the difference. Because you can walk into a library, but unless you know what book to get, where are you? So they got a whole world of information on their phone, but don't know what to do with it because they're not listening to the elders and respecting elders enough to, uh, learn to be quiet and listen.
And the
And
same ones that's doing that have kids, and kids don't listen either. It just it just passes down.
then they want to send the kids to places like me, Impact, and say, fix it.
I can't get decades of mess up.
Well, I can make an impact, but you're gonna have to make a change. You know what I'm saying? There you go. I'm gonna use that. Let me write that down. I can make it. So I'm telling you, it's really interesting. When I look at some of the things I see and I hear, and it's heartbreaking. When you see a lot of the stuff that a lot of our kids are going through because they're these lessons that they're learning now, they're recording their own limitations that are locking them in. I don't think people realize that once you put something on that social media,
Oh,
it's there.
yeah.
You know, I thank God that I did not grow up in the age of social media.
Ooh,
There was a couple of times where I was videotaped on a dance show or whatever, and I'm glad those tapes are about gone. Nobody knows. I ain't gonna say. People from Grand Rapids might know, but I'm trying to delete every one of them. Because that's just not who you are anymore. But unfortunately, a lot of these folks are being locked in, for things that they've done when they were younger, and that people are not getting into colleges because of stupid stuff they've done and thinking it's cute, trying to get some attention, some likes,
exactly.
whatever. And that don't come with a narrative when you record yourself and put it out there. They just say that's who you are to a college. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, colleges will keep you from doing that. Jobs will keep you from being hired because of something you record. It's just how it is.
Yeah, it is. And people just don't realize that. Like I said, once that information is out there, I don't care if it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it'll get out there to certain people because nowadays people will look your name up and see what your mindset is by just look up your name. Well, he said he was like this, but right here shows he's just the opposite. So which one is it?
Hey, as long as they can find something different, you don't have that job.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
it. And they've got social media agencies that search for your online history.
Hmm.
Colleges, where I went to, I think it was Prairie View. We took some kids to Prairie View, and they said, yeah, they just flat out said, yeah, we research kids, social media history, and they kind of have to because they can't afford to have a kid, out there doing the wrong thing, bringing weapons on campus and all that stuff, and you know, uh, there've been some horrific things that have happened that really should have no place anywhere, but especially in a college environment. So, and if they're not wise enough to put it out there, then you're gonna get I think it's a good thing to catch, because my baby might be going to college. I need them to keep them out. Shoot.
You
And
ain't kidding.
eh, I can't be everywhere, so hey, we're gonna use that. But just make sure you're not one of them.
Yeah. Because,
You know,
when I was reading an article the other day that trains are not safe anymore. The reason why I'm saying that, they got this guy that had four handguns and two rifles trying to bring on an Amtrak train. And I was thinking about what made that person think he'd get away with that. See,
well,
people,
because it's not an airline, right? They probably don't have the same TSA right now that they have on airplanes, but I think very soon, this before you get on any type of public transportation, it's going to probably be things are going to be a lot tighter.
yeah. So I was thinking, was he testing the system to see if he get away with it? Well, he
Could
did.
be.
He didn't because he got caught.
Yeah.
But people are always out there finding ways on how to get over the system. So my question of that right there is, Joseph, when people try and do that, their mental state is somewhat unstable, I would say. If they want to try that, what person down think about, well, if I bring these hand grenades on and I'm gonna get caught? What state are they in when they do crazy things like that?
What did Forrest Gump say? Crazy as crazy does, or dumb is. Never mind. So anyway, all I can say is, we've got a lot of people that are unstable. You just got to call it like it is. Unfortunately, if you saw what just happened in New Orleans,
Yeah,
I was getting out that person actually uh, staked out the area. He had literally rode a bike and had cameras on his glasses, the meta glasses, I think they were called,
right.
and staked out the area so he knew exactly where to drive that truck on Bourbon Street and do that horrific act that he did. So, there's really no recipe for insanity, right? There's so many different factors that can make a person snap, but there seems to be some things you can look at, right? When a person is disgruntled with their personal life and relationships, a divorce or loss, a job, loss, and don't have the protective factors, meaning like they don't have the support of that village to check in on them. And then what's always the case seems to be that somebody always says, well, I didn't know that person was like that. Well, when was the last time that you talked to them?
Yeah,
When was the last time that you checked in? You know, so that's why that village thing is more than just a socioeconomic support. Yeah, it's also a socioeconomic implies it, but it's very much a psychological support. Because if you just have one person that say, "Hey, man, look, I care about what's going on with you. You know, you're part of my village. I need to know that you're good.
Yeah.
That could be enough to change somebody's mindset. So they're doing now, I think, with the guy that did terrorist attack in New Orleans. They're trying to figure out where he went and where he could have possibly been radicalized. And I get it. They're trying to find answers, and we need to do that. But I'd say, if we want to be more proactive, increase the village. You know that you got family members that are maybe getting out there, or friends that you haven't talked to in a while. At least try to reach out. Let them know that you care, you
Yeah.
know? Now, if they decide to do something like that, sometimes there's a chemical imbalance in their head. There's something that pushes them over the edge. And, at that point, you just have to observe the behavior and watch and be mindful and situationally aware. But we're in crazy times, and you know, that means that there's going to be some events. So the same thing in Vegas.
Yeah.
If he had just got him and his significant other. There was some infidelity. He didn't like the course of where the country was going, I guess, and wrote a note such as that. And these both were prior military personnel. So, check on your military personnel. That's not a rocket science, thing, and there are a lot of efforts from the VA, but to try to get help, and there's 1-800 numbers. If you call any VA, you're going to get the number, the information on how to get help psychologically. But what is it, 988? That's a suicide awareness. You got to put that out there. But really, man, I'm telling you, it's the village that has to step up and check on these guys. If somebody's a veteran, check on them. Check on them. Because now, I mean, they're saying that these folks were in the same, they came from out of Fort Sand, not Fort Sand. What is it? Fort Hood, I think it was. But they weren't even in the same unit.
Mm.
So weren't connected, but they were connected, right? And the fact that there was obviously something that snapped in them psychologically, and maybe they did it for different reasons, but look at the effect.
Yeah.
Other people died, they lost their lives, and everybody wants to say mental illness, but mental illness is only one symptom of these situations. It's the disconnection from their social circles. It's the disconnection of, and it's the ability to not have the social skills. And see, this is very important that, and I'm glad I had a chance to say this. We've got to teach our kids social skills.
Yes.
And what do I mean by social skills? Doing this here, learning how to communicate, how to talk. If something is wrong with you, articulating that I don't feel like myself, understanding the signs of depression. What are the signs of depression? The loss of interest in things that you are normally interested in, sleeping patterns changing, not being able to sleep at night, overly fixating on things, not being able to let things go after you've lost a job, lost a relationship. There's not being able to take care of yourself, appearing disheveled, asking those questions, to those folks. You see somebody that used to be sharp, dressed a certain way, all of a sudden they're looking bummy, hair is not kept, doesn't look like their hygiene is together. Check on them. Check on them, because I guarantee you, some of these folks that are doing these horrific things, some people aren't checking on them. And maybe that's why they're crying out. And they're trying to make a message, because the one in Vegas said that he wanted to make a message. He's trying to be heard ultimately.
Exactly.
So the thing about that I got with in psychology is you can circumvent some of the most horrific results if you just listen to somebody. And a lot of times people will fix themselves by talking.
Yep.
Because they can hear themselves. You ever do that? You start talking to somebody like, man, I cannot figure this out. And you start talking about it, you're like, hey, I figured it out.
Yeah. By just
Yeah,
talking to somebody. Yep.
Wow, you fix that yourself, you know. And
Yes.
I have clients right now, they're like, Joe, man, I mean, I love talking to you, man. You always help me out. I said, you just helped yourself out. I
Yep.
just, I just was there and redirected you to your own thought process, and you came to a conclusion that made sense to you. Now,
Exactly.
yes, obviously it took years of training sometimes and how to redirect and all that. That's how I end up usually trying to stay on generally the same point, right? But we go where we go, man. But people, they just need to talk. They need to get things off their chest, and they need to have at least one or two people that they can confide in. Now, I'm not telling everybody to get their license in psychology and become a therapist. What I'm saying is just check in. Just say, how you doing today?
Yes.
If you
Exactly.
haven't talked to somebody in a couple months or weeks or whatever, check in. I always try to harass Glenn every once in a while. I always try to check in with you. I know you're doing good, but I don't know you're doing good. I'm thousands of miles away, so I got to check in. If you call me some crazy time, but you getting a lot better, you don't do it no more. I'm the one to harass you now. Usually, if I call, you know, but you usually pick up the phone, or call me right back or something. I was getting a little concerned. Now you told me I was about to send the people after you, Ron, but I get it now. You had to take a minute, but we check in on each other. That's important to do.
Exactly. Because I do the same thing. I call and check in with people. I call
Yeah.
and check in with everybody in our circle.
Mhm.
At least once a month, I'll pick up the phone call. How you doing? I'm doing okay. Why you calling me? Checking on you, see how you doing?
Yeah, man.
Eh, eh,
Yeah, yeah. And see, now you got me. I'm at that security because y'all done threatened me. Said if I come back there, y'all ain't gonna let me get back on that plane. So
I'm sorry. That's not a threat.
yeah, I'm at to have security. Y'all talking about kidnapping a brother, man. So I'm putting it on the radio right now. If they don't see me back here in
Not
Japan,
kidnapping nobody. We just
man,
making sure you stay put.
yeah, man. Well, we'll see. I'm enjoying not having this snow
Yeah.
and the wind chill. They're like, Joe, when you coming back? I said, when the snow is gone. But it's
Oh,
always coming back over there.
well,
So
up in Michigan, Chicago, they got hit pretty hard this past week with snow, and they got another storm coming too. So, you're gonna be away for a while.
yeah, man. I'm not. You ain't gonna see me till the weather break a little bit. But I got to get up there, San Antonio and Michigan here. I'm not gonna say when on the air because I don't do that. But
Yeah.
um, but it will be when it's not as cold. I can guarantee you that. So,
Yeah.
but prayers to those folks that are affected. Check on your seniors, please, in this cold weather. I always say that. I always think about that when I was up there in the neighborhood president association up there. I always checked on my seniors, because they sometimes they just don't know. They be sitting up there, not doing what they need to do, and they're not aware sometimes of what they need to be aware of. So check on your seniors, make sure they're all right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, my man, look at it. Hour that went by already,
That's it
and we're doing good today. So,
today.
yeah, today. So, I'll call you later on once you wake up. I know what time that is. See, that conversion chart that you sent me helped me out a lot. Because
I
me
just need to look at it myself sometimes. That's
We was talking one day, and I said, Joseph called me at the weirdest times. Don't you know what time it is over here? And Glenn started laughing. I said, what you laughing at? When I was over in Japan, remember you were calling me? I said, I sure were. You called me, it's like 2 in the morning. I didn't know it was
yeah.
2 in the morning then. But that
Man, you don't think man, you get ready to call, you be like, oh crap, this is 2 o'clock in the morning over there,
yeah,
three. So sometimes I call and just hang up. I'm like, oh, I just realized what time it is.
yeah,
So it is, man. It is what it is. But
it
it's
is.
always a pleasure, man. Remember, your actions speak so loudly. I can't hear a word you're saying. And your actions always speak loud, man. I appreciate you and appreciate this opportunity to try to get some good information out there and have some fun. We didn't get to any questions, because I didn't know if we are gonna have any, but we'll just save them for next time. If
Yeah, we'll
any
come
wants
next
to have,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Shout out to the Impact team as well. Martha doing her thing, and Craig, and and all the other folks. We got some stuff coming this year. Gotta finish getting it together. But got some good workshops coming out.
Yeah, I see. I'm hearing about it, so it's gonna be good. Gonna be
Looking forward to it.
all right, my brother. You take
All
care.
right. All right. Talk to you
All right.
soon.
Talk to you later. All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was Joseph Lee with the Impact Hour here. We haven't talked in a couple of weeks because of the holiday season, but it looked like everything is right back on time. It is now 32 minutes after the hour. Let me see here. I don't want to hear that one. I'm looking at particular songs. Um, oh man, I don't know, is it me or what? Let me see what I can find over here on my deal. Right, I got my back turned to you, so don't take it personal. All right, trying to find something to play that he was rattling off. Um, man, so much music here. I don't. I'm trying to. Oh, now it's gonna computer gonna act slow on me right about now. All right, let's see what we got here. Man, I don't know why I'm lost for songs today. Have you got like that? You want to hear something? You got lost in it? Let's hear some stepping music. I think that always worked with me. All right, DJ Ron G on WSAN Radio. Man, it is 36 degrees outside, 33 minutes after the hour. The beautiful studios of WSAN Radio. Thank you for tuning in to WSAN Radio. Catch us on our YouTube channel, WSAN Radio SA. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification button.